Well, good Monday morning, everyone. It's great to see you, and I'm glad you tuned in. As you can see, we have a special guest star. I promoted you to star, Tom.
Wow.
You're a star on Inspiration for Today.
It doesn't get any better than that.
What could be more honoring? But
That's right.
anyway, for those who watch all the time, we're continuing this week, one more week. This is going to be our last week of amazing encounters with God. And we're hearing now these last few from other individuals than me, which I absolutely love because God is a God of all his followers. Tom is in his family, just like Joan was last week and Dick. So, Tom, you've seen God work in your life, and I've asked you to narrow it down because at least to one we'll start with. Which one would you like to tell us about this morning?
There's a number of things. The things that comes out and sticks in my heart is what God did during the journey with breast cancer that my former wife went through in the late 90s.
The 90s.
We
Okay.
saw that pointed towards a conclusion that we thought would happen that didn't happen.
What's her name, Tom?
Her name was Yannick, and that's a French name. She was from Haiti. Wonderful, loving family. I mean, her whole family. Um, she was diagnosed in the fall of 1997 with inflammatory breast cancer. And that's about the worst breast cancer you can get. Survival rates very, very low.
That
I
must have been
was,
a shock, even of its own, wasn't it?
oh, yeah. I've been volunteering full time at the church on the magnification, the music team, for just a few months. And they had to have somebody there that had no musical talent that could handle other stuff. And so that was me.
So, so they sought you out.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
it was 5:30 or so one afternoon, and the phone rings, and it's her. And she tells me that she was just diagnosed with breast cancer.
oh my goodness.
And she felt a lump on Friday and was in with that diagnosis Monday, a few days later. So it wasn't like we'd waited. And so we got off the phone, and I remember going into Brenda Gomez's office and just breaking down. And she prayed for us. And we started the journey. And the next meeting was with a doctor that we had together and that told us about the disease. The 5 year survival rate was like 20%. And, you know, if God hadn't got me to Saddleback 4 years before that, I couldn't have handled it. I couldn't have possibly handled that. But he grew me in my knowledge of the word and my faith. And so that I had the strength to lead our family.
I'm just curious, were you guys at that time in a small group with other couples or?
My small group was the choir.
Okay.
And one of the
So
roles
I
we
know
had,
then that they were praying certainly for this, for her.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And wonderful, close knit group. It was a family. It was wonderful. And so we started the journey. The first thing they did was chemo, and they did the hardest chemo they could do for that because it was so aggressive. And so, um, and at the time, our daughters were 17 and 13.
Wow.
So
That's
it was
tough.
hard on them. And thank God that her mom and dad were 10 minutes away where they lived, and all her sisters were within an hour. So we had the family. When you go through chemo like that, your white count goes all over the place. They give you enough to almost kill your immune system, so it goes down low, and then you recover, and then they give you some more. In the middle of the chemo, she got her appendix ruptured. And because of the white count going all over the map, the doctors couldn't figure out, they didn't know it. They saw
Oh,
something going on with her white count that wasn't what they normally see. And so after a week or so, they get 3 or 4 doctors together over the phone to try to figure it out. And so they brought her in for emergency surgery, thinking that's what it might be, and it was.
wow.
And her doctor told her that it was a miracle that she lived through that because of all the poison that had gone into her body during that could have gone in, but it didn't. And he said he wrote an article for the New England Journal of Medicine because that had never happened before. Somebody got appendix ruptured during a severe chemo and lived.
So in our title of Encounters with God, you knew that something like that could only happen if the Lord enabled it to happen.
Absolutely. There was no doubt. We were praising God. We were sure she was going to be healed. We had no doubt. And then she went through surgery, mastectomy, and um, a while later. And we thought everything was going to be fine. And then um, the cancer returned. And so they thought, well, let me back up. No, it hadn't returned. Because of the severity of the cancer, they said she needed to do a stem cell transplant. And so they made arrangements to go to the City of Hope to have that done. About 2 or 3 weeks before it was scheduled to be done, I get up in the morning and look at the newspaper, and there was an article about a woman in Seattle who had the same kind of breast cancer Unique had. And she had her insurance with Cigna,
Uh-huh.
and they denied her treatment, saying it was experimental. And so, and by the time she fought it and won, but by the time she won, it was too late, and she died. And so a few days later, we get a call from our insurance company, which was the same one that lady had,
Yeah.
telling us they were denying it because it was experimental. And so first thing I did is call the City of Hope and say, what would this cost if I paid for it? And it wasn't near what you would think it would be at that time. This was 98. And it was $200,000, which would have really, really put us in a tough
Well, and in
position.
today's dollars, can't even.
Yeah. But the only thing to do was do it. And so I said, let's go ahead and schedule it. And they said, and one of the doctors up there that did this had something. One of the reasons the cost was low is for people
Well,
that were in a situation like this.
okay, well, listen, folks. Tom is in the middle of the story. We're going to carry this over to tomorrow. So please tune in tomorrow, and we'll see you then.